welcome back to my book channel. My name is Lady Lauren Explorer, and I know that this is a very, not even controversial take, but an unpopular opinion. I love reading infidelity tropes, cheating tropes, especially, but not like the ones where the heroine and our hero are cheating on other people to be together. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when our hero is cheating on our heroine or half cheating on our heroine and groveling, the angst of it. I just love that. And oh my gosh, I've been on like a kick of like reading infidelity tropes. That's why like I've been crying, and that's why like my eyes still kind of red from crying last night because I finished one of them. I finished like the last one that I wanted to talk about. But that's right. I'm giving you recommendations for cheating romances. I will give you the pairing. I will give you a quick synopsis, and hopefully you'll read them, because some of them you probably already know if you know cheating tropes already. Others I had to like find because of like I'm a part of a cheating romance book club, and so we give each other recs, or we give them a scenario of like what we want in a book, and then they'll give us recs that like have either all or most of the requirements that we've listed. So let's begin, because some of these are actually in ebook form. So let me just get those out the way first, because I have so many. Our first one is The Broken Beginning Part 1. This is from the Arches High MC, Charleston, number 9. Well, number 8 and number 9. If you only really read number 8, go for it. It's like number 9 sucked my soul. Like I was ugly crying. But number 8, and it's by Christy Shears and Christina Mitchell. Let me just tell you. This is about a girl who, our heroine, her father is in the MC club. She is not a princess, but she is family. She has known and been in love with her neighbor, who is also a family member of the MC club member. And she's for like the longest, like since they were like little. She's in high school now, and I think she's like on her second to last year of high school. She has no friends, literally no friends. And the friend she did have is not technically her friend. Like she is like, if you had that girl as a friend, then you don't need an enemy, because that girl is just, let me get started on her. But what I was saying is, one night, she's at a party. Her and her friend get into an argument, and she starts to just walk home. At this party is her crush, her first love, and he and his girlfriend are having an argument, but she's just gone. She's just like, I'm gonna walk home. I don't care anymore. I just want to be done with this. She's walking home, and along like in the truck comes her crush. I forget his name. I don't. They start talking because he's like, hey, you don't need to be walking. It's late at night. You're dressed like this, and like you're gonna get kidnapped, or R word. So she's like, no, I'm gonna walk. Keep walking. He's like, just get in the car. Just get in the truck. Go ahead, just get in the truck. She's like, no. He's like, just get in the truck. So she does, and they live like right next door to each other, in front, what I'm trying to say. So it's better just ride along. They get into like a little argument, not even an argument, where she just basically says like, no one would want to pick me up anyway because I'm not like attractive. And he's like, well, no, what are you talking about? You are attractive. And they have sex. She loses her virginity to him, and he does not use a condom. So, long story short is she becomes pregnant. He feels trapped because the club and their fathers, who also are part of the club, tell them, you have to get married for this child. And our heroine finally realizes that, like, the way he's treating her, she wants love and not to be forced into this situation. So she doesn't want it anymore, but she has to because her father kind of gives her an incentive to do it. And our hero does not care. Not one lick. He still has his girlfriend. They've only, like, literally throughout the whole entire book, I think they only have sex 3 times. Like, crazy, right? Yeah, like crazy. 3 times. It's basically like him throughout the whole entire, I think it's like 4 or 3 years of them being together in this book. He's cheating on her the whole entire time, and she knows it. That was like super angsty. I was bawling my eyes out. Then I read the book 9, and that, because it's a duet, but even the author tells you, like, at the end of book 1, she says, if you don't want to have a bad ending, basically, or if you just are you happy for the content, happy for now, then just stop reading, because the second book will destroy you. I was in so much pain, so like ugly crying, I got a migraine. It was bad, but I'm glad I read those 2 duets. Those 2 books. So yeah. Then we have Coming Home by Shayna McClendon. Clendon, I think that's how you say it. And this is about a girl who, she doesn't remember anything before the age of 10. She's found on the side of the road with a skull fracture, bruises, and blood. So we don't know anything that happened before the age of 10. So she goes to this girl's home, finds her best friend, and they're living out their lives together. Along the way is, like down the road, is this wealthy family with a boy who she's attracted to, and it seems like he's attracted to her. And on her, like, I think she's like 17 when they finally like have this like intimate conversation of like, hey, you're gonna turn 18 soon, and I want to make you mine. Yeah, yeah, no brainer. I have had a crush on you. I find you attractive, and he does find her attractive well. So yeah, go ahead. Then they start dating. He's a little bit older than her. That's why he has to wait till she's 18. But I don't think he actually does wait. They don't have sex, basically. They're in a relationship, but just, groping and touching, kissing. I think she's like the day before she leaves for college, she decides that she wants to just give herself away and spend the night with him. But her best friend also leaves as well because she wants to hang out with her other friends. So they do. So she's like, hey, I'm about to hang out. I'm going to go out. I'll be back in the morning. And so our heroine is like, okay, cool. I'll see you in the morning. And while she's waiting, she's like, you know what? I might as well go see our hero and spend the night with him. So she sneaks out because she's never done it. She's always been like a goody two-shoes. Very dedicated, doesn't want to like break the rules. So she decides to do this, and she walks to his home. And as she's like climbing up his balcony, she sees her best friend having sex with her boyfriend. And I like the quote that got me was, oh, you have such good form. And they all, like, they both freeze. Her best friend started crying. Her boyfriend is just, like, shocked for a minute and then tries to explain that, like, him, her best friend wants her to be in a relationship with all three of them, and he just couldn't wait. She tempted him and he fell for it, and he said that while he was waiting for her, she offered, and so he took. And obviously our heroine was just like not having it. She's like, okay, well, whatever. So she like runs into the woods and he starts running after her once he puts some clothes on. It's bad. Finally, she's leaving and she is devastated, and she says like some really choice words for both him and her best friend, and leaves for college. And throughout the whole entire college years, her best friend and her ex-boyfriend, write her. She never writes back, but she starts to forgive. That leads us to when she graduates and she accidentally gets ran over by a limo. And in that limo is a financial advisor who is actually a billionaire. That, long story short, is he finds her sense of humor great. He has an instant connection with her, and he's attracted to her personality, also her body, but mostly her personality. And they form I wouldn't say like a relationship based off that. He has some heart problems, and he's given like less than a year to live. And their connection is so intense, he wants to marry her. So she does. And as years go on, he's still alive. She falls more in love with him, even though she's had only one guy she's loved all her life. And certain things happen. Her best friend and her ex-boyfriend are brought back into her life. And you can, read from there. The next one is Hooking Up by Helena Hunting. This one was like a wild fest of like, yes, I love the drama of cheating. So our heroine is married. She's at her reception and her husband goes to use the restroom. All of a sudden, on the speakers is her husband having someone give him fellatio. And you can hear it throughout the whole entire wedding reception. She's embarrassed. She is like traumatized from this. And so she's just like, no, I'm not doing this. F him and F her. Blah, 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 blah. She runs into her bridal suite and starts hacking up a $15,000 dress with garden shears. But who happens to be in her room, who's just like trying to take a break from all the festivities, from the wedding, is her husband's cousin, who we find out actually wanted her first, but his cousin swooped in and took her from him. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's freaking out, talking about like, oh my gosh, your family, blah, 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 blah. And he's just like, hey, stop coming at me with shears, first of all, and like, just calm down. What are you doing? And then she tells him what happens, and he's like, what? He wouldn't do that. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, your date is the one that was giving him fellatio. And then he's like, what? So she's like, you know what? I'm going to get revenge. And she just like mauls him. She's like, yeah, we're going to have sex. And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be revenge Trump. I don't want to be a revenge sex paid. And he like has to like really fight himself on like not having sex with her. That, long story short, is coincidentally she decides to take her honeymoon that she's supposed to be with her husband and go to Bora Bora, who is actually on the flight as well because his family wants him to, stay away from the drama that his date has brung. Then her husband's cousin. And that leads to, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks of like just great sex and chemistry. And they come back and she's still married. She's trying to get an annulment. She's been trying for like the longest, but her husband does not want that. And like he says like some crazy things. Like he doesn't think fellatio is cheating. And he also expects her to like be okay with him having 2 mistresses or more, because mistresses are for dirty sex and a wife is for the virginal, pure sex. That's what he said. I was blown away. I was like, I would cheat on you too. No. But I don't think it's like technically it is cheating because she is married at this point in time, and they don't have a divorce or an annulment, so she has been technically cheating on her husband, but he has been cheating on her since they were dating. So you win some, you lose some. But basically, it's her story, like it's her and his her husband's cousin's story of actually being together. It was very fun to read, and the steam was great. I didn't cry on that one. The next one is Forgiving Reed. I actually don't consider this like to be as big as a cheating trope as it would seem to be, but Forgiving Reed by C.A. Harms is in a series called Southern Boys. This is book 1. In this series, in this book, Forgiving Reed, our heroine is Forgiving Reed. He has been her boyfriend. He was a playboy. He has been her boyfriend for, I think, 2 years, and she's about to go off to college. And I don't know how it happened, but somehow she decides to go to a party where he's at, and she sees a girl on her boyfriend, basically giving him a lap dance and like kissing him. She sees that, he sees her, and he tries to explain like it's not what you think. Obviously, that's what they all say. And she runs away and doesn't speak to him ever again. She goes off to Boston, finds a new love. They have a great relationship. She becomes pregnant, and tragedy strikes. She delivers her baby and moves back home with her family. I actually consider this story to be like a grief and surviving story, because even though he did cheat on her, like she keeps bringing this up, like as in she can't really trust him because he basically was making out with this girl. And his reason for cheating, for kissing that girl, I'm not saying it's a good one, but I actually understand that reason more than some of the other cheating reasons people do this in books. He was saying that the love of his life is about to go off to a different state, hours away, and will probably find a new boyfriend or find this other connection with someone who's actually in the vicinity of her without being long distance. So basically, he was sabotaging his own self because of those feelings, of like those insecure feelings. And I'm not condoning that. Like I'm not saying that that's wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that's right. But I understood what he was saying. Also, compared to like my other cheating tropes, that was actually pretty mild. And yeah. Her, on the other hand, she is like grieving. So like I cried a lot during this book, especially the first half. And whenever a certain subject kept getting brung up with memories attached to it, I was bawling. So just like keep in mind that one made me cry so hard. And then last of the ebooks is Wedding of the Century, and it's part of the Marry Me series by Patricia McClellan. This one, crazy. We start off with a wedding. She's actually, I think one of them has said I do, and she's about, no. The minister is saying, speak now or forever hold your peace, for whoever wants to interrupt the wedding for other reasons. And then out comes this pregnant girl who is the ex-girlfriend of our hero. And she says, hey, I want to object to this wedding because I'm pregnant with his baby. And she's like 6 or 7 months pregnant. So yeah, he cheated and is trying to get married. And so our heroine is just like, what's going on? Like, tell me what's going on. And he's just like, hey, can we do this later? Let's still get married. And she's like, no, tell me now. And he's like, let's just talk about this later. His family runs this town. He's very wealthy. They're the creme de la creme of their county. So Image is very well, like Image is hot commodity with him. He's just trying to like get this done so then he'll tell her afterwards. But she's not taking that for an answer. She decides to just toss her glove with her engagement ring on the floor and run out of the chapel. She comes back 8 years later because her older brother is in a hospital because I think he fell and broke his wrist because he's in construction. So she's going to take care of him because he's single and and he runs his own business. And who happens to meet her while she is at the hospital with her brother? Her ex-fiance. And this starts a whole different banter because like he is dual perspective. So like he is like, he doesn't bring up the cheating. And that should have clued me. He brings up how he has like a radar for her, and once he gets this chance, he is trying to make her fall in love with him again and hear him out for certain things that happened in the past that he wants her to know. It was good. So next is the actual physical books I have that I've read. I actually read all of these, so I'm just letting you know. Our first one is Goalie by M.E. Carter. This is a part of a football or a soccer series. I think this is the 3rd book. I only read this because it was recommended to me, and this is the one that actually has cheating on it, with our main character who's also in the other 2 books in the first one. So we have Santos, who is the goalie for a Texas League football team. He's very great at his job, but after every game, he has this uncontrollable adrenaline rush where he needs sex to, calm down. So he uses groupies to do this. He's been doing it his whole entire career, even when he was in college. Then we have Mariana, who is the mother of his 3 kids. She is basically a stay-at-home mom. We get introduced to her because she's walking up to a woman who you meet in the first 2 books as being a groupie, who's now dating one of the football players, and ask her, has she had sex with her husband? The girl says yes. And so she says, hey, I know he's going to say, I'm joking. You're like just making things up because you are being spiteful, blah, 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 blah. Tell me something that he can't refute. So she goes, when he's about to come, he hums. Mariana just breaks down. She is devastated. So she leaves her husband. We also find out that Santos, because it's a dual perspective, Santos also has this thing where like dirty sex isn't for his wife. She's too pure for the sex that he needs to get this adrenaline rush out of his system. And this is their like second chance romance, because she does divorce him and he is groveling to get her back. And a lot of things happen between the two. Like the first half of this book is great for the angst. Great for the angst. The latter half is okay, but the first half of this book was great. I'm just saying. Then we have, I think it's Maria McFarlane, and it's If I Never Met You. This is like one of the books I read, I think last year, and I love it obviously because I kept it. But it's an inspirational romance, and her boyfriend for like a decade has been cheating on her for I think a couple of months or like almost a year. Well, emotionally cheating on her with a coworker, and he has fell in love with her. He decides to break up with our heroine, and in order for our heroine to show that she's moved on, she decides to have a fake relationship with the company's playboy. He needs his relationship because the partners of their law firm wants him to have a clean image. And they're like, if you had a steady girlfriend or a wife, we would make you a partner. But because of that, we're too afraid to leave you alone with our wives. So you need to have that relationship in order for us to even think of giving you a partner seat or a bigger promotion. So who better to have a fake relationship with than the girl who wants to prove to her ex-boyfriend that she's over him. And this is their fake dating love story. The next one is a book that I think everyone has seen, heard of, but if you don't like cheating, you might even still like this book. Just saying. And it's Forgive Me Not by QB Tyler. Oh my gosh, this is Amnesia. So we have our hero who gets into a car accident and he loses parts of his memory. He lost, I think, 2 years of his memory. So we find out that him and our heroine, who had been married, are getting divorced or are separated, and are in leading to divorce. And she gets a call from the hospital saying that her husband is in the hospital because of a car accident and she needs to come up. She walks in and he's like, why are you so far away? Like, I need you to come here. Like, what's going on? Why are you like so standoffish? And then she gets told that he doesn't have his memory. Like, he doesn't remember something very traumatic that happened with their relationship, and they're divorced or leading to divorce. And she tells him that he cheated, and he does not believe it. He, like, the love they had together, you could tell that he was like gutted when he found out that he cheated on her. And then you're just trying to figure out, like, why did he cheat? And why is he still with the girl he cheated on her with? That's a whole backstory. But basically, it's their love story of recollection, and you get to find out what really happened when she found out he cheated and like what led up to that. Because there's actually a build up of what was going on in their relationship. That's super, like, I was crying. But this was a great read. I'm telling you, if you don't like cheating tropes, you have to read this, because this one is the exception to all rules. I'm just saying. Next one is When Forever Changes. This is by Sabrina Davis. I hope I said that right. But this is a series I only read the first. This is the first book in the series. I'm only going to read this one because it had cheating in it. So we have Gabby. Gabby has been in a relationship with Dylan since they were in, I think, middle school. They've known each other since they were 10. So they are childhood sweethearts. They're in their sophomore year of college when she notices that Dylan is acting very erratic. He is like something's going on. She overhears a conversation with another girl who is talking to her friend, saying that Dylan approached her and said that he liked to suck her titties and gave her his number. And the girl's like, "What are you talking about? Dylan? No. Dylan is in love with Gabby. They've been in love. I think you're just trying to start rumors." And she's like, "No, this really happened." So Gabby is just like, "Okay, whatever." Then like there's certain things that just keep happening. So she goes to him and he's like, "What are you talking about? No, I would never do that. Like, I think they're just joking or she's making it up. But like, no. Long story short, he does. He has. And he says it's because he gets this, like, it's like he switches. He has this switch that just makes him do just things. Like it's like a different person. So she's devastated. But she has her family, her brother, and her other best friend, which is Slater. Slater has had a crush on her for the longest, but he thought that he would never get the opportunity to date her, but they do date. Something happens, like a lot, like two crucial things happen, and their world is turned upside down. When I tell you, I hate with a passion the trope that is in here when it comes to cheating, but it just sucked me in because I was crying. It was angsty. I tried to hate this book because of that trope, which is terminal illness. But it just kept sucking me in, and I like ugly crying. I had a migraine. It was crazy. But yeah, this is a cheating trope. The next cheating book is Overdose by Raven St. Perry. Wow. This is a part of a series, but they're all standalones. I don't even think they're interconnected. In this book, we have Vanessa, who's a psychiatrist, and she mostly specializes in sex addiction. She gets a new client, a new patient, who also is a fellow psychiatrist who has insomnia, narcissism, and a sex addiction. Vanessa is married. She is getting divorced because she caught her husband cheating on her. Her husband, who's also the partner in their clinic. So yeah, weird. Yeah, very awkward situations. But this is Xander and Vanessa's love story because yes, he's a patient, but his sex addiction transfers from like having sex with just multiple women or just like women in general to wanting to have sex with Vanessa. And once they cross that boundary, a lot of things change. At first, I just thought this was going to be like a temporary romance, but this becomes like a suspense thriller in the very end. Like I wasn't expecting what happened to happen, and like the trigger warning, it was crazy. Like it was crazy. I have a video out for this one, so yeah, like you can see the trigger warnings. I tell you that in the video, but yeah, this one crazy. But still 5 stars. Then we have Carrie and the Rock Star by Diana Nightingale. It should tell you. We have childhood sweethearts who I think they met in like the latter year of like secondary school. No, the beginning year of secondary school. So the latter year of like middle school, and have been dating since like I think college. Like they're going into I think the sophomore year of college. So what we find out is her best friend had sex with her boyfriend. And what happens, like that situation where they had sex, a lot of things were like going on with them both mentally, but they did do it. She finds out about it and she wants nothing to do with him, especially since before the whole sex thing happened, they were on the rocks because he had kept something a secret from her that she just found out, and she's feeling very like insecure about this because of the situation that her ex-best friend and her ex-boyfriend did. It leads to a child, so she's definitely not wanting to have anything to do with them at all. And it actually is kind of a divide between like her and her family, because she decides to just run away to California and like just leave them all behind. Her ex-boyfriend does become, his name is Finch. He's Scottish. He becomes a very successful rock star. The crazy thing about it is she has to go back home because her best friend is dead. So she has to go to the funeral. And who happens to be going to the same funeral than her ex-best friend's baby daddy. And it's just like their second chance at love, because she has to go through like a lot of like acceptance again and forgiving him because of what happened. But like, this is crazy. Like, I was thrilled by like what the author is throwing at me at certain times in this book, and it was very unbelievable. But it is a good cheating book. Another Sabrina Davis book. This is Sawyer from the Rydeville Elite book. Elite series, sorry. This is book 6. So this is an interconnective series, but you can read them all as standalones. In Sawyer, we actually have Sawyer and Xavier. So Sawyer is bi, and he's been in a secret relationship with Xavier for over a year, but they have been friends with benefits before then. Sawyer is the heir of a very, very powerful and influential company that his parents are in charge of across the board. And in this one, Sawyer has to take one for the team for his father and marry a woman that he's been going on dates with throughout the series. So he has to tell Xavier that he's getting married, even though him and Xavier are dating. That leads to like some really great angst. Yeah. And he does get married. So, but this ends in an MM. So, like, don't let that fool you. This is an Achillean. Second to last is Storm by Serena Akeroyd. This is a standalone in the series, so you don't actually have to read this book if you want to enjoy the series, and you don't actually have to read the series to enjoy this book. Most people of the series who like this series skip this book because of the cheating trope. Man, this is bad. Like, so basically we have Storm, who the love of his life, he's never wanted her to be a part of the club. He is the prez, and almost throughout their whole entire marriage, like for 10 years, he's cheated on her. And it's actually because he has a sex addiction. And that addiction, along with drug addiction, whenever he was actually having sex, he had to be drugged up, and very drunk. But his caveat was whenever he would be doing this, he always thought it was his wife he was having sex with. Now that makes, it better. But yeah, that's what actually happens. So this is basically like the aftermath of her finally leaving him, even though they have a child together, him trying to like grovel and prove himself as a husband. So some things happen, a lot of things happen, and it's very sad. This is actually one of the books that I consider, if you read past a certain point, it won't be a happy ending. The author gives this to you. She gives you the ending, and she says, hey, once you get past this point, if you want to read there years later, just know that this will be a tearjerker and the angst is off the charts. The ending of this book is a happy for now. The actual ending, other people will call it like a untraditional HEA, but I don't consider it a HEA at all because what they both do at the end. I don't want to give it away, but like the ending, the epilogue, I hope I said that right. I cried, and I was trying to figure out if like I read it right, but yeah, I read it right, and yeah, it was, yeah. So if you don't want to be devastated, just stop at the like happy for now. Just saying. And last but not least is the book that I finished last night, and it's Life Without You by S.P. West. This is okay. I was going to like give this book a 3 when I first started reading it. The first couple of chapters, because it's dual perspective. And it starts off as present day. And we get both our hero and our heroine who, it's been 3 years since the incident happened of him cheating. And they're husband and wife, so it's infidelity. What I can give you on this one basically is he is married to her. They're college lovers who got married. And because of the pressure that she was putting on him to have a family, he found solace in a coworker who just got him. And that coworker wanted to party, wanted to do drugs, just wanted to live life at its fullest. And he realized that he didn't want to have a happy-go-lucky family with children, dogs, and a picket fence. He didn't want that at that time. And he started to realize that when he started to have this relationship with the coworker, and he fell in love with his coworker. So he decides to divorce his wife, but along the way, along this way of like discovering that he's in love with his coworker, he's been cheating on his wife for months. And this book goes from like the present with just, I think it's like 2 chapters of them two. Then it goes to the past and the build up of the cheating, where she has the inkling that something is going on with her husband and she thinks he's cheating on her. And we also get his perspective of like what her actions or what he perceived as pressures made him do and how he reacted to those pressures, which is cheating on her. It's crazy. I gave this book a 4.25. Loved it though, because like the groveling at the end is 3 years later. Like literally, it's 3 years later when they finally like meet up again because of a traumatic accident that happens, and he he's grown. Like the growth that he's shown in those 3 years is phenomenal, and she has grown as well because he had broken her down. He made her feel unworthy. And those 3 years of them being separated built her back up. And finally, she understood her worth, to what it meant to have someone fight for her because she's worthy. Love this heroine here. She is badass. But that is all of my cheating trope reads that I actually have read. I do have other books that have cheating in it, but I haven't read those, so I don't want to give those, recommendations out. I want to give you recommendations like I actually read for cheating, because some cheating books are just not good. But I hope you enjoyed this, and my name is Lady Lauren Explorer. I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Trope.